There was a time in my life when I was essentially a puppet. I didn't see strings attached to my arms or legs, but they were there. And the terrifying part was that anyone could pull them. If a stranger cut me off in traffic, they pulled a string and I became angry. If a boss sent a passive-aggressive email, they pulled a string and I became anxious. If a friend made a joke that didn't land right, they pulled a string and I became defensive. I walked through the world thinking I was a free man, but I was a slave to my own reactions. I had handed the remote control of my emotional state to everyone else. I thought that reacting was a sign of strength. I thought that if I didn't get angry, I was being weak. I thought that if I didn't defend myself immediately, I was admitting defeat. But I was wrong. I learned the hard way that reaction is not power. Reaction is submission. If you can make me angry, you own me. If you can make me fearful, you control my focus. This realization didn't come to me in a moment of peace. It came to me when I was exhausted. I was tired of the roller coaster. I was tired of giving my energy away to things that didn't matter and having nothing left for the things that did. So I began a journey into the psychology of detachment. I wanted to learn how to stand in the middle of a storm and not get wet. This is the story of how I learned the power of not reacting and how you can reclaim your freedom. To understand why we react, we have to look at the biology of the machine we are living in. Our brains are ancient. They are designed for survival, not for happiness, and certainly not for the modern world. When we feel attacked, whether it's a tiger in the jungle or a rude comment on the internet, our body doesn't know the difference. The amygdala, the alarm bell of the brain, goes off. It dumps cortisol and adrenaline into our bloodstream. Our heart rate spikes. Our vision narrows. The logical part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, literally shuts down. We become dumber, faster, and more aggressive. I realized that for most of my life, I was living in this state of chronic survival. I was constantly scanning the horizon for threats. A look from a stranger, a tone of voice, a delayed text message. I was interpreting everything as a threat to my ego. And that is the first pillar of detachment I had to build. The realization that I am not my ego. The ego is that voice in your head that constantly demands to be right. It demands to be respected. It demands to be understood. It is fragile, and because it is fragile, it is loud. When someone insulted me, my ego screamed, "How dare they? Do they know who I am?" But the ego was defending was just a story. It was a construct. I realized that when I reacted to an insult, I was accepting the insult as truth. If someone calls you a failure and you get angry, part of you believes them. If you truly knew you were successful, their words would sound like nonsense. They would sound like someone speaking a language you don't understand. I learned that the need to react is actually a confession of insecurity. The most secure person in the room is usually the quietest. They have nothing to prove, and therefore, nothing to defend. Once I understood the biology and the ego, I discovered a concept that changed my life forever. It comes from the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." For years, I had no space. Stimulus happened, someone yelled, and response happened, I yelled back. It was instantaneous. It was robotic. I had to learn how to widen the gap. I had to learn how to find the space. I started practicing something I call the pause. It sounds simple, but it is the hardest thing you will ever do. When the trigger happens, when the anger flares up in your chest like a hot coal, you do nothing. You pause. You breathe. You feel the heat, the tension, the urge to lash out. But you don't act. You become an observer of your own internal storm. This isn't about suppression, it's about observation. Suppression is pushing the feeling down, pretending it's not there. Observation is watching the feeling, acknowledging it, and letting it pass through you without letting it control you. In that pause, a question arises. Is this really worth my energy? 99% of the time, the answer is no. The rude driver, the online troll, the passive-aggressive colleague, they are not worth the price of your peace. The pause gives you a choice. You can choose to react, to add fuel to the fire. Or you can choose to respond. A response is a considered action. It's calm, it's strategic, it's aligned with your values. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Let me give you a practical example. A few months into my journey, I received an email from a client that was incredibly critical and frankly unfair. The old me would have fired back an angry, defensive novel within minutes. My fingers would have been flying across the keyboard, my heart pounding, But this time I paused. I felt the surge of adrenaline. I felt my ego scream for justice. I acknowledged it. Then I closed the laptop and went for a walk. I let the chemical wave wash over me. When I came back an hour later, I was calm. I reread the email. I could see the client's stress, not just their criticism. I responded with a short professional message, addressing their core concern without engaging with the emotional drama. The situation was resolved peacefully. I hadn't just saved myself from an argument. I had saved my entire afternoon from being hijacked by negativity. I had kept my power. This practice of non-reaction is like building a muscle. At first, the pause might only last for half a second. But with practice, that space between stimulus and response gets wider and wider. You start to see the world not as a series of personal attacks, but as a series of events. Most of them have nothing to do with you. Think of it like this. A dog barks at you as you walk by. Do you get down on all fours and bark back? Of course not. You recognize it's just what a dog does. It's not personal. What if we started seeing angry, reactive people in the same way? Their reaction is a reflection of their own internal state, their own suffering, their own conditioning. It's their bark. You don't have to bark back. Learning not to react isn't about becoming a cold, emotionless robot. It's the opposite. It's about becoming so in tune with your emotions that you can feel them without being ruled by them. It's about choosing where to invest your precious, finite energy. Do you want to spend it fighting pointless battles, defending a fragile ego? Or do you want to invest it in your goals, your relationships, your peace of mind? The world will constantly try to pull your strings. People will provoke you, challenge you, and misunderstand you. That will never change. But what can change is you. You can decide that no one else gets to be the puppet master of your soul. You can cut the strings. You can stand in the middle of the chaos and remain still. This isn't an easy path. It requires constant awareness and practice. You will fail. You will react. You will get angry. But every time you catch yourself, every time you manage to insert even a 1-second pause, you are winning. You are reclaiming a piece of your freedom. So the next time you feel that hot surge of anger or anxiety, I challenge you to try it. Just pause. Breathe. Ask yourself if this moment is worth the cost of your inner peace. Let the storm rage, but don't become the storm. Find that space between what happens to you and how you respond. Because in that space, you will find your power, your growth, and your freedom. When something upsets you, what's your first move? Do you fire off a text? Do you start typing a heated email? Do you slam the door? I used to do all of that. But now I do something different. I freeze time. It all started with a simple rule I made for myself. The 24-hour rule. If something got under my skin, a frustrating email, an annoying text, a decision I didn't agree with, I made a deal with myself. I was not allowed to respond for 24 hours. The first few times I tried this, it was torture. My mind was racing, screaming at me to fix it, to fight back, to explain my side of the story. I would mentally compose that perfect, cutting reply 1,000 times over, but then something miraculous happened. When I woke up the next morning, the fire was gone. That wave of stress hormones had left my system. I looked at the same situation, and it looked completely different. It looked small. What felt like a complete catastrophe the day before now just seemed like a minor inconvenience. By simply waiting 24 hours, I got my intelligence back. I had shifted from my emotional, reactive brain back to my logical thinking brain. I quickly realized that 90% of the things I was so desperate to say didn't actually need to be said at all. And the 10% that did? I could now say it calmly, effectively, and with dignity. That pause gave me my dignity back. It gave me control. But creating that space, that pause, is only the first step. Once you're in that calm space, you need a new way to see the world. You need a new philosophy. So, I began to adopt what's known as the view from above. This is a powerful technique used by the Stoic philosophers thousands of years ago. When they felt overwhelmed by the drama and chaos of their lives, they would practice a visualization exercise. They would imagine floating up out of their bodies, seeing the room they were in, then their city, then their country, and then the entire earth just floating in the vast, silent darkness of space. I decided to try it. When I was stressed about a deadline or feeling angry at a neighbor, I would zoom out. From the perspective of the entire galaxy, my problem was literally invisible. From the perspective of human history, my entire life is just a blink of an eye. Now, I know this might sound depressing to some people, but for me, it was incredibly liberating. Think about it. If I am just a tiny speck of dust on a rock that is spinning through infinite space, does it really matter that someone was rude to me in the checkout line? Does it really matter if my post gets 50 likes or 500? The view from above shattered my self-importance. It was a powerful reminder that the world does not revolve around me. And because it doesn't revolve around me, the actions of other people are not really about me either. This led me to the most powerful psychological shift I've ever experienced. I call it the let them theory. For so many years, I tried to control how other people saw me. I desperately wanted to be the main character, the hero, in their story. If they misunderstood me, I would spend hours and hours explaining myself, trying to correct their perception. If they judged me, I would twist myself into knots, changing my behavior just to please them. I was completely exhausted from trying to manage the thoughts of everyone around me. Then, one day, I just decided to let them. If they want to misunderstand me, let them. If they want to judge me based on only half the story, let them. If they seem committed to being unhappy or finding fault, let them. I finally understood that other people's opinions of me are none of my business. Their perception isn't a clean window. It's a filter. It's colored by their own past, their own insecurities, their own life experiences. It has almost nothing to do with me. When you stop trying to convince people to like or understand you, you save a massive amount of energy. And that's what this is really all about. It's about your personal energy economy. Imagine you have a battery. Every morning, you wake up with a 100% charge. Every emotional reaction costs you power. Getting angry about something you saw on the news? That costs you 10%. Getting into a pointless argument with a coworker? That's another 20%. Worrying about what someone thinks of you, that's 15% gone, just like that. I used to be at 0% by noon. I had no energy left for my dreams, for my health, or for the people I actually loved. I was bankrupting my own life force, spending it all on strangers and situations that didn't matter. When I started practicing these detachment techniques, I stopped spending my energy on things that had zero return on investment. I started asking myself simple questions. Am I willing to pay for this argument with my peace of mind? Is this negative comment worth 5% of my mental clarity today? Almost always the answer was a clear and resounding no, so I kept my energy. And I started pouring it into my work, into my health, into my vision for my life. The result was strange and wonderful. I became more productive in 6 months than I had been in the previous 6 years. It wasn't because I was working harder, but because I wasn't leaking precious energy everywhere I went. I was focused. But there is a darker side to constant reactivity that we need to talk about. It's the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, addiction to victimhood. When I was always reacting, I secretly, subconsciously, loved being the victim. It gave me a story. It made me feel important. Look at what they did to me, my ego would say. Being the victim felt validating. It felt like I was on the right side of things. It gave me a strange sense of moral superiority, even as it was draining my life away. Breaking free from that mindset, from the drama, means you have to be willing to give up that role. You have to be willing to stop being the main character in a tragedy of your own making. It means taking responsibility not for what happens to you, but for how you choose to respond. It's about choosing peace over drama, progress over pity. This journey isn't about becoming emotionless or cold. It's the exact opposite. It's about saving your powerful emotions, your love, your passion, your joy for the things that truly deserve them. It's about becoming the calm, centered, and powerful creator of your own life instead of just a reactor to it. Start small. Try the 24-hour rule just once. The next time you feel that surge of anger or frustration, just wait. Give yourself that space. You might be amazed at the clarity you find on the other side. When I was a victim, I didn't have to be responsible. If my life was a mess because of them, my boss, the economy, my parents, then I didn't have to change. I could just sit there and be angry. Anger is a great hiding place. It makes you feel righteous. It makes you feel like you're doing something, when really you're just burning. Taking responsibility means admitting that no matter what happens to you, you are responsible for how you respond. There is a quote I keep on my desk. No one can hurt you without your consent. They can hurt your body. They can steal your money. They can slander your name. But they cannot hurt your character unless you join them. They can't disturb your peace unless you open the door and let them in. The moment you react, you're giving them consent. You're saying, yes, you have the power to determine how I feel today. I decided to revoke that consent. I took the keys back. Now, let me tell you what happens when you actually start living this way. Because the transformation isn't just internal. It changes how the world treats you. There's a concept in psychology called the law of least effort. In any social interaction, the person who is most reactive is the one with the least power. The person who is least reactive holds the frame. When I stopped reacting, I noticed that people started listening to me more. Silence creates a vacuum. When someone is yelling or being chaotic, and you simply look at them, calm and unbothered, they become unsettled. They expect you to fight back. When you don't, they're forced to look at themselves. Your silence becomes a mirror. I remember a specific meeting where a colleague was trying to undermine me. He was aggressive, loud, and trying to provoke a fight. The old me would have jumped in. I would have raised my voice. I would have looked desperate. But the new me just sat there. I took a slow breath. I waited for him to finish. I looked him in the eye and I spoke quietly and slowly. I didn't defend myself. I simply addressed the facts. The room shifted. Everyone could feel who was in control. It wasn't the loud guy. It was the calm guy. This is the paradox of power. The less you try to display it, the more you have it. But I want to be clear about something. Detachment isn't about becoming a robot. It's not about having no emotions. I still feel anger. I still feel fear. I still feel sadness. The difference is that I no longer invite them to sit in the driver's seat. I treat my emotions like visitors. When anger knocks on the door, I acknowledge it. I say, I see you. I feel the heat in my chest. I know why you're here, but I don't let it move into the house. I let it pass through. You are not the weather. You are the sky. The weather changes every 10 minutes. It rains, it storms, it's sunny. If you identify with the weather, you're unstable. But the sky? The sky is always there. It holds the storm, but it's not damaged by the storm. I learned to be the sky. So how do you actually practice this? How do you start today? You start with the small things. You can't expect to be a Zen master when a major crisis hits if you can't even handle a slow Wi-Fi connection. The training ground is ordinary life. When you drop a glass and it breaks, that's your training. Do you curse? Do you ruin your mood? Or do you simply sweep it up? When the traffic light turns red and you're in a rush, that's your training. Do you grip the steering wheel? Or do you take a deep breath and realize you'll get there when you get there? Every minor annoyance is an opportunity to strengthen the muscle of non-reaction. I call this micro-stoicism. If you can master the red light, you can master the rude email. If you can master the rude email, you can master the breakup. If you can master the breakup, you can master life. It's a practice. And like any practice, you will fail. There are days when I still snap. There are days when I let the puppet master pull my strings. But I forgive myself quickly, and I get back on the path. I want you to imagine a version of yourself, 1 year from now. Imagine a version of you that is unshakable. A version of you that walks through chaos with a smile. A version of you that no longer needs validation from others to feel whole. How much more could you achieve? How much better would your relationships be? How much more energy would you have? That version of you is waiting. But to meet them, you have to cut the strings. You have to decide right now that you are done being a puppet. The next time the world tries to provoke you, and it will try today, I want you to remember this conversation. I want you to feel the trigger, feel the heat, and then do nothing. Take the pause, find a space, and choose freedom. It's time to take the remote control back. If this message found you at the right time, I want you to make a small commitment. Not to me, but to yourself. Go down to the comments section right now and write this simple phrase. I control the pause. Write it down to solidify it. Let that comment be your contract for the next 24 hours. When you feel triggered today, remember that you wrote those words and keep your promise. And if you want to continue this journey of reclaiming your mind, subscribe to the channel. We are building a rare group of people who are choosing clarity over chaos. Welcome to the project.